Hey everyone, I hope you're all okay. So I'm back with another requested video, and this one is going to be about sexuality. Initially the individual that requested this video was having issues with constantly being called greedy for being bisexual, and I thought instead of making a specific video about bisexuality, I should kind of broaden it a little bit and speak about sexuality overall, because I know that there are still certain issues that are going on with, homosexuals and transsexuals. So I hope I do this video justice. I hope you guys find it useful. As always, if you have any queries, if you want any advice, anything, or if I haven't covered anything that you'd wish I'd covered, leave me a comment below and I shall get right onto it. Similarly, if you'd rather be more private about it, go onto my Facebook page. Details are below, and you can send me a private message on Facebook and I shall keep it quiet. So I'm a heterosexual individual, so I cannot relate to what you guys must be going through. I cannot speak from personal experiences, but in a way that I do kind of relate to it is that I have a lot of friends that are homosexual, bisexual, and I can see what they go through, and obviously we talk a lot, and I was curious. I went through a period where I was very curious about what made people the way they are, how somebody determined that they weren't heterosexual, how somebody determined that they preferred men, or they preferred women, or they preferred both. So thank God my friends aren't the uptight type who always kept quiet or were ashamed. So if I had anything to ask, they would always give me the answers, and so I hope that I can do this video a lot of justice. One of the things I always hear is, it's usually coming from individuals who belong to the older generation, and one of the things I always hear is, oh, back in my days, gays and lesbians and bisexuals didn't exist, and now everyone's so greedy, and it's all about being modern, and it's all the generation change and the Western culture and all this kind of stuff. And I have my own little theory as to why we see so many more bisexuals and homosexuals and transsexuals now than we did, say, 70 years ago. And I'm going to give you an example which isn't related to sexuality but somehow can be linked to my theory. And in a previous video I told you all how my dad was really religious and strict and very traditional, and there were loads of things that I couldn't do. And one of the things that I couldn't do was wear a red Indian suit, and the reason for that was because red was considered a bridal colour, and I wasn't married. So my dad always said to me that no matter what age, whether I was a child or a teenager or a young woman, or as long as I was single, I was not married, I was not allowed to wear a red Indian suit. And I know a lot of my friends, actually in fact all of my Punjabi friends at that time were going through the same issues. They weren't allowed to wear red. And what I believe happened is, at some point a female turned around and said, you know what, where does it say that I am not allowed to wear red? Show me the rule book, somebody. I love red looks good on me, I'm going to wear a red suit, and god damn it, you're going to like it. And that's exactly what happened. She wore the red suit, she survived, her head didn't fall off, she didn't explode into a million tiny pieces, and people thought, well, you know what, she's got a point. Where does it say that she's not allowed to wear red? She looks gorgeous in a red suit, I want to wear a red suit. And eventually, over time, what happened, more and more females decided to wear red before they actually got married. And it's literally got to a point now where, I wear red Indian dresses now, and everyone that I know wears red Indian dresses. So it's not, it's moved on from a point where nobody, neither myself nor anyone in my friend circle, was allowed to wear it, whereas now everyone's allowed to wear it. And even if you look at bridal magazines now, red has been wiped away as the primary bridal colour. Now if you look at bridal magazines, there are maroons and purples and golds and blues and even greens I've seen, so it's not even all red, red scented anymore. And I believe that's exactly what happened with homosexual and bisexuals and transsexuals, that at some point people were fed up with hiding who they really were, and a certain individual came out to be bisexual, homosexual, transsexual, and as he or she came out, other people were influenced by that, and other people were like, well, you know what, I am too, and you know, somewhere else somebody else would say, you know what, so am I. And eventually one person coming out gave everyone else the power almost, you know, to also come out. And I think that is why we see a lot more homosexuals, bisexuals and transsexuals now than we did back in the day. But then again, that's just my theory. I might be completely wrong, I might be completely right, who knows, you know, it's just my own personal theory. So there are still a lot of issues related to sexuality. I mean, legally we are starting to get there, you know, we are starting to get homosexual couples who are married, who have adopted a child. A very, very famous example would be Sir Elton John, and we're getting there. But socially, there is still that teeny tiny bit of inequality whereby everyone who is not heterosexual is frowned upon. You know, transsexuals, bisexuals, homosexuals, they're all frowned upon. And it's worse in certain places, and it's, you know, better off in some places. I mean, where I live right now, I personally haven't seen any of my friends go through any issues relating to their sexuality. So I'd like to think that this area is pretty, you know, it's pretty decent in terms of acceptance. But then there are some places where they're still kind of old-fashioned, and their thinking is still kind of 1950s and everything. And I think that it's people who have strong cultural or strong religious or strong traditional beliefs who still frown upon it. And is it something that is going to change? Probably not. I think even though it may get better over time, I think that there's always going to be, even if it's just one person in the crowd who's going to kind of frown upon you, or, you know, call you names, or try to make your life a living hell because you choose to live, you know, with the same sex. And I don't think that that's the issue. I think the issue lies within yourself, because with everything that relates to yourself, with every feature that you have, with your personality, with your appearance, with your sexuality, with your religion, I personally believe that you yourself are in control. And that's what you need to do. You need to take control of your life, control of your circumstances, and a control of who you are. So if you are a homosexual individual, embrace it, own it. Don't be afraid, because there are probably 1,000,001 other people out there who are in your shoes, and there's probably 1,000,001 other people who aren't in your shoes because they're too scared to out themselves. But I believe that the hardest thing is probably outing yourselves. But then again, I also believe that it's the best thing, because if you keep it inside you, and if you try to live your life pretending to be something that you're not, it is going to start slowly eating away at you. So even though it's the toughest thing to do, outing yourself is definitely the best way to go about it, so that you feel, you know, end up feeling good eventually, even though you may have to go through some tough times. So my advice to you would be to get your inner confidence. You know, if people are calling you greedy because you are bisexual, ignore them. You know that you are not greedy. I mean, when we think about, none of us are in control of our sexuality. I can't turn around tomorrow and say, oh, you know what, I want to be with a woman, because it would be impossible for me, you know. And it's the same thing with, say, somebody who is in a same-sex relationship. You know, two men who are very much in love cannot then try and live a happy married life with females. You know, a lot of people have done it because they've been too scared to admit that they are homosexual. But, you know, they'll do it from the outside. They'll, you know, put on the fake smiles, and, you know, they'll get married and even have kids, you know, and nobody would ever know. But deep down inside, they would never actually achieve that internal happiness. And, you know, that's one of the biggest issues. And you need to deal with it yourself. So, well, not deal with it yourself, but deal with yourself. Tip number 1, embrace your sexuality. Whether you are gay, straight or bi, it doesn't matter. It's who you are. You need to embrace it, you need to own it, and you need to feel it. At the end of the day, you haven't chosen it, it has chosen you. So you need to feel 100% confident in your own skin. Tip number 2, ignore negative comments and remarks. Don't ever let somebody else's ignorance get you down. Tip number 3, don't ever pretend to be something or someone that you are not to keep somebody else happy. Be who you are, and if other people don't like it, well then that's just their bad luck. And finally, last but not least, tip number 4, love yourself. You are an individual who is beautiful, who is confident, and you are who you are. Why try to be a sheep and follow when you can be the shepherd and lead? So I hope that you guys have found this video and the hints and tips very useful. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, if you want me to elaborate on something a little more, or if you just want to ask for my opinions, you can leave a question below. Or if you want it to be a little more private, you can go to my Facebook page and send me a private message. The link to the page is below as well. Remember, you are who you are, own it, embrace it, and live it. And I shall see you all in the next video. Bye!